We begin with developing news surrounding a story we've been covering closely for now more than 2 years. Good Friday evening, everyone. Welcome to Western Mass News 11 at 11. I'm Chris Pisano. State officials have released a report into the management and oversight at the Holyoke Soldiers Home. And Western Mass News reporter Lexi Oliver joins us in studio with those details. Lexi.
Chris, as you remember, the Soldiers Home was the site of a deadly COVID-19 outbreak early on in the pandemic, where nearly 80 veterans passed away from the virus, drawing criticism from families and state leaders. But issues at the home date back way before then. The Inspector General's investigation began in 2019 after the office received an anonymous complaint over several concerns about then Superintendent Bennett Walsh. I spoke with the daughter of one veteran who says she believes Walsh was not qualified for that role.
He was the captain of the ship, and he let that ship sink.
Lori Mandeville-Bodette speaking with Western Mass News after the state's Inspector General released a report Friday following an investigation into the management and oversight of the Holyoke Soldiers Home. Her father, Jim, resided at the home for more than 16 years before he passed away of COVID-19. The IG's office looked into the management of the home between May of 2016 and February of 2020, after it says it received an anonymous complaint in 2019 raising concerns about then Superintendent Bennett Walsh. The 91-page report detailing what are being called critical shortcomings in the management of the home, as well as concerns with former Superintendent Bennett Walsh. The Inspector General says out of 3 candidates recommended for superintendent, the Executive Office of Health and Human Services only met with Walsh, who was then appointed by the governor. They also say Walsh created an unprofessional and negative work environment, and that the Department of Veteran Services officials failed to address complaints by people at the home. Mandeville-Bodette saying she wasn't surprised by the report.
I don't think any family member or any member of the Holyoke Soldiers Home Coalition ever felt that Bennett Walsh was qualified for the position.
She tells us Walsh did not show interest in the vets.
He always had his cell phone in his face, you know, like a teenager would. My dad at the time had been there in the facility the longest amount of time. He had no idea what my dad's name was.
We also caught up with State Senator John Velas, who has been very vocal about the issues at the home, and he commended the IG for addressing the needs of veterans and investigating these issues.
One of the main takeaways for me is that it identified many of the things that we put forth in the Senate bill involving the chain of command, involving the governance.
The report also adding recommendations, which Velas says will be reflected in the Senate bill.
They talked about the need to have an ombudsman for family members, for staff, to call up if things are going on in the home that people need to know about. They really talked about DPH, the Department of Public Health, needing to have a much more robust role in the process.
The report is just one piece of a larger effort to address issues at both soldiers' homes in Chelsea and Holyoke, and Velas says they're ready to take the next steps.
I've said from day one, the most important thing, as long as we keep the guiding principle of ensuring that something like this never happens again, I think we're going to be just fine.
The attorney representing Bennett Walsh tells us they have no comment on the Inspector General's report. We also reached out to Attorney General Maura Healey's office. A spokesperson there tells us, quote, "Today's report sheds an important light on the reforms that are sorely needed at the Holyoke Soldiers Home. Massachusetts owes it to our veterans to ensure that they can receive the high-quality care in a safe environment. Our office will continue to push for accountability on behalf of the loved ones who lost family members to past failures at the home." Reporting in studio for Western Mass News 11 at 11, I'm Lexi Oliver.